Hi there, welcome to day 8 of our Advent of projects. I hope you've been following along. I have had a question about day 5 and 6. I haven't done videos for those, but there are tutorials over on my blog. So if you've missed those, you need to just pop over to www.jocblackman.com and you'll be able to find those over there. So this is our project today. Now this is something just a little bit fun really. It's for a place setting for your Christmas table, but it also serves as a napkin holder. And if I turn it over, you can see it's an empty box at the bottom, so we've just fed it through. The reason we've left it empty is so we can get our fingers in there to actually put our napkin through the hole. Okay, so I've prepped some of this ahead of time just to save us a little bit of time. I'm using cherry cobbler. Of course, you use whatever you're using with your papers. And this measures 10.5 inches long by 2 3/4 inches high. It's just slightly higher than it is wide because we want to put our lid on this. And I've cut 2 circles from these 2 sections here. So it's the section nearest to your little joining piece at the end, and then you miss one, and then it's the next one. So I've used the layering circle dies. If you have any circle punches, then of course that would work really, really well as well. So as a continuation of the layering circles, I've actually created, just purely for decoration, I've used the same circle for the centre, and then I've just used the slightly larger one with the scalloped edge. So I'm just going to glue those onto my circles. So just try and get them as close to that edge as you can. They should just follow nicely. Okay, so now they're stuck into place. So the next thing I want to do is just to place some paper onto these 2 sections here. So these are just our side pieces, and these measure 2 1/4 inches square. You don't need to make them to go straight to the top because that's going to be covered with our box lid, which is actually stuck in place, so you generally are not going to see anything. So I'm just going to position this towards the bottom, so everything is close to the bottom, including those circles. And just make sure that it is nice and straight and lined up. Obviously think about the direction of your paper as well. The paper I'm using is doesn't really have a pattern direction, so that's fine. So that's the base of our box, and then we're simply going to just glue onto this section here. Now notice normally if we're making a box we would cut a little sort of camber on it, but I'm not on this occasion because, as I say, it's going straight into the lid, and it's more important that it's actually straight rather than anything else. Okay, so that's the base of our box done. So I'll just put that to one side, and then we're going to make our lid. So again, I have pre-cut this just to save us a little bit of time. And this measures 5 5/8 square. And then you're going to score at 3/4 and 1 1/2 on all 4 sides. Now, when I make a box, I like to, I don't like raw edges on my cardstock. So this is a raw edge, which is going to be covered. But by doing this double layer around the edge, it means we get a really nice sort of smooth finish to it here. That's entirely up to you. If you don't want to do that, then you don't have to, of course. You can just do the single edge. But I just think it gives it a nicer finish, really. So I'm just going to cut this now. So if you're not familiar with a double walled box, you start off by removing one of the corner sections, so that you're left with one little square in the middle, which is connected just on one side to one of the pieces. And then I'm just going to cut that into a little flap, and I'm going to do the same again. I am cutting a tiny little camber on these just so that when it goes inside my box, it doesn't get caught. And then I'm going to turn it around to the other side. I'm going to do exactly the same again. Okay, so that's how it should look once it's all cut. And I'm going to quickly just make the box lid up. So I'm just sticking that little tab just to the next side and just making sure this is nice and square. I'm going to work around all the corners. And I always do those last two together because it's fiddly to get the glue onto the fourth one otherwise. Okay, so now what I want to do is just to glue these sections here to the inside of my box. And this is what I mean about the this is a raw edge, so it's a cut edge, and this one is a folded edge, so it just gives it that nicer finish. But as I say, if you want to do it single, that is absolutely fine too. Okay, so that's the top of my box. So now I want to glue this into place. So I'm just going to glue inside all four sections here. And I'm going to pop it on top. And then once it's on top, I'm just going to put my hand in on all four sides, making sure that it is right in the top of my lid. And that is our little box made. So then we're going to carry on with our decoration. So I have another piece of DSP, which is also 2 1/4 inches, and then a piece of Evening Evergreen, which is 2 3/8. This is just to give it a border. The lid is obviously slightly larger than the side section, so I could have cut my DSP a little bit larger, but I liked the little border just on the top section. Okay, so as I say, that is our little box made. We then, on top of that, we have these two pieces of decoration. We have this little frilly pom-pom, and we also have our tags. Now all I did was I got 3 tags. I wanted to, rather than just have one, I wanted it to sort of stick out a little bit more. So all I did was I created the 3 all the same size, but I'm just sticking that white one out just a little bit wide, longer, I should say. And then again, the green one, just to, in fact, I'm going to bring that one back a little bit. So can you see it creates this sort of flag effect? And then I'm just going to make the end straight. So I'm just cutting across all 3 layers. So it doesn't really matter what length your pieces are, but I actually used our one of our punches here to create my ends. So that is about, it's about 1.9 centimeters. I'm not sure what that is in inches, but it's the second width on here. In fact, I might be able to measure it for you if you do have the punch. So it is about 1 1/4. Sorry, about 3/4 of an inch. So that's just to give you a rough idea. Okay, and this is going to pop on here. I'm just going to not stick it down for a moment because I want to make the topper first, just in case, so we know how far it needs to hang out. So moving on to the centerpiece. So this is the little pom-pom we have here. I've already started one of these just so you can see how it's made. So I've taken a piece of DSP and I want this to measure, these are the 6x6 paper packs. So it's 6 inches long by 1.5 inches wide. And I'm just going to take my glue and run a line of glue down just one edge. And I want to fold this over and glue it just on that edge. Now, if you wanted to, you could score this. I like to leave this edge sort of not folded completely. I just think it gives it a better shape if it's not glued down. So once you've done that, and the reason I'm doing this double is because I wanted it to be all red on the outside. So obviously our paper is double-sided, so if I'd done it as a single, then I would have got sort of the 2 patterns, but also it makes it a little bit stronger this way as well. So as you can see on this one, what I've done is you need to go along, cut in to within sort of well, not even 1/8 of an inch to the bottom. And you think, oh, this is going to take forever. But actually, once you get cut in, it doesn't actually take that long. So it's worth persevering with. You could try and do it on a trimmer, but I think you run the real risk of cutting it completely. It doesn't mean to say it hasn't happened with the scissors, but it gives you an idea of sort of where we are. Okay, so now you can see I've got 2 of these strips, and I'm just going to take my bone folder, and you do need to be a little bit gentle, but just very, very lightly curl it so that it's going to, we're going to roll this up in a moment. So I'm just going to grab my glue, and what I want to do is I want to start this off. This is the hardest bit, actually getting it started. And I'm literally going to roll this up. So once you've got it started, it should roll quite nicely. At first it tries to bend on itself rather than roll. So just keep it in your fingers until you can roll it. And then once you can start rolling, you can actually pop it between your finger and thumb, and you'll find it will roll quite nicely. Now notice I'm not gluing this as I go. You can if you want to. I don't always find it's necessary. So I might, a little bit along the way, just add a little bit of glue just to hold it in place. And then obviously at the end I will need to do that as well. So in rolling it this way, I'm keeping a flat bottom here and a flat top here. So try and keep it as tight as you can. It doesn't matter if it unravels a little bit. A little bit of glue on the end here. So I'm just going to take the second one. Now obviously if you were using 12 by 12 paper, you could just do one strip of this and it would be absolutely fine. It's only that this is 6 by 6 paper, so obviously I've had to do two. And I want to start next to the other one, so I'm not going to overlap them at all. I'm just going to start it where I finished the previous one. This sometimes takes a moment just to stick, but I'm going to continue rolling. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. And then finally at the end, I just want to make sure that that glue's nice and solid. I'm just going to hold that for a moment, just make sure that that goes off properly. Okay, so once you've got to that stage, I would just leave it a moment just to make sure it doesn't unravel itself, but it should be okay. And then I'm going to start on the outside sections, and I just want to push them away towards the base. You can be reasonably robust with this, and what I tend to do is the bottom ones I tend to kind of pull down because otherwise they sort of won't fold properly. So once I've done that, I can then start splaying the rest of them out. So you see it's quite quick once you've done the cutting, and I often sit in front of the TV and do the cutting part, and it's amazing how quickly you get at doing them. Okay, so when you're happy of where that's going to be, I would recommend that you prepare these and get your names written on them before you actually stick them together. So this is just a white pen which doesn't want to work at the moment. Very temperamental gel pens, aren't they? Okay, I'm just going over it a few times. I can always come back and go over it again if I need to. So this is my table setting. So I just want to position this in the position where my name's not going to be covered. So I just kind of put them together so that I can see where they are. I'm just going to stick that one down. And then you've got a nice flat base here. So you can just add some multi-purpose glue. And what I would be inclined to do is to let it dry, and then you can come back and fan this out a little bit more once it's dry and in position. And then finally, I'm just going to turn that just very slightly. The last thing I did was just to add a little piece of gold ribbon. Whoops. See what I mean? You need to really just let that dry. So I'm just going to cut a piece of gold ribbon. It's probably about 8 inches, something like that. I'm just very lightly going to tie this. I will go back and tie it better once that has completely set into place. Yeah, it's not going to let me. Okay, I'll show you the original again for that part. So here, I've literally just tied it in a knot around the base of my fattened out area. And I only needed one knot. That was really all it needed, just to hold it into place. So that is today's project. So hope you like those. I think they look nice on the table come Christmas Day. And hopefully we've got another 4 coming. So I've got another 4 to make. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be allowed to all meet up this year. So I will see you again tomorrow. Take care. Bye.